As a reminder, please silence all cell phones. Welcome to tonight's press conference for the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Gonzaga's sports information director is Grace Whiteley. Today we are joined by head coach Lisa Fortier and student athletes Yvonne Ejim and Kaylin Trong. Coach Fortier, would you like to make an opening statement?
Sure. What a bummer. We think that we're good enough to compete with that team. I know that we are. My team is tough, but we're only good enough to compete on today if it was played under our terms. And the game was definitely played under Ole Miss's terms. They were the ones who dictated the pace and tempo of the game. And, the rebounding was an issue that was an emphasis, and they won the glass. And nothing to take away from our team has had an amazing season, and most people don't know, besides maybe Jim and our administrators in here, like what we've gone through. And so, proud of them. They battled. These two battled. And their teammates. And it's been fun to coach them.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now take questions for the student athletes. As a reminder, please state your name and affiliation at the beginning of each question. If you're on the Zoom call and have a question, please use the raise hand function. I will call on you if we have time.
Yeah, for both players, but particularly for Yvonne, I mean, it's one thing seeing their physicality on film, but what was that like in the opening quarter and really getting an up-close taste of that?
I feel like, if anything, it was definitely felt on the boards, especially just having to compete with them. I feel like that's where most of their physicality was, that we weren't able to overcome a lot of the time. And I feel like that bled into, once they got those rebounds, they felt that they could be more physical on offense, on defense, pressuring us. So I feel like a lot of it started with, the rebounds, and then obviously that brought them energy and carried into the rest of their game.
Matthew Walter from the Next. Kaylin, it seemed like every time you guys caught the ball on the perimeter, they were there, immediately touching you, being physical. Just how much does not having played a team who plays like this consistently, how difficult did that make it? And when did you feel like you first really felt it? Was it the first possession or just sort of built up over the game?
Personally, I think it just built up over the game. Also add in fatigue and just trying to get doing everything I can for the team. And so, kudos to them. They guard the three-point well, and going into the game, we knew that. But, yeah, I kind of struggled here. I feel like I could have done better. I got some open shots, but they just weren't falling today.
Good. Any more questions for the student athletes?
Yeah, when the shots weren't falling, did it just kind of did it get in your head at all? Usually that's not been a problem for you guys, but it just seemed to snowball a little bit.
For me, throughout the whole season, the coaches have told me, I don't care if you shoot 30, I don't care if you shoot 50, get my shots up. So it didn't really bother me. I can't speak for the team, but yeah, I just tried to do whatever for the team, and it just wasn't enough.
Lisa, could you talk about
Sure, we're going to stick with questions for the student athletes first, and then we'll do questions for Coach.
Okay.
Any more questions for the student athletes?
For both players, you obviously have been through a lot this season. You have the entire roster coming back. What can you learn from this experience, from the way this season ended, both here and at the conference tournament, to take into next year, with a team that brings every single player back, that won so many games and went through so much adversity?
I feel like, if anything, when we start to actually focus on what we need to focus on, I feel like having this whole team back, we realize what we've gone through this year, what it took, what it takes sometimes to win games like this. If people have that feeling, then it just matters when you're going to start to work on all of that stuff that you need to. So I feel like that's something, having all of these players back, that we can already start tomorrow, or whenever we get back on the court, or getting your body right, getting your mental right, whatever that matters in your life, whatever it takes to kind of get better as a basketball player in order to contribute to this team. It just depends when you're going to say, let's start right now.
All right, Michael Robertson, African-American athlete. Both you players, Stanford played against you guys, and now you guys just played against Ole Miss. Now Ole Miss will be playing Stanford. So what did you learn from either team, and then how do you think the team that you just played will do against Stanford 2 days from now?
Go ahead.
I feel like if anything, not like settling and not like letting the wave come towards you, but actually like putting pressure on other people. I feel like if anything, we were one step behind the line and let Ole Miss cross that a little bit. Whereas for us, like moving forward, learning from both teams, like even Stanford, when we played them at 7, like we have to put our foot across the line first and be the aggressors kind of in the game. So I feel like if anything, if Ole Miss like does take that to Stanford, then they obviously have a chance. I mean, it's March, anybody has a chance. So like, I feel like if they take that into their game, obviously like it'll be a good game. And same thing for Stanford. If they're like the aggressors in the game, then it's going to be a good game for them. But just knowing that you have to start the way you want to finish, the way you want to play 40 minutes, like that's going to change a lot of like your mindset and kind of like how you play throughout the game too.
Thank you, Yvonne and Caitlin. You can rejoin your teammates in the locker room.
Oh, thanks. Bye.
Have fun, Coach.
We'll now take questions for Coach Fortier. As a reminder, please state your name and affiliation at the beginning of each question. And if you're on the Zoom call and have a question, please use the raise hand function. I will call on you if we have time.
Jim Allen, Spokesman Review, Spokane. Lisa, could you talk about the conference schedule, and do you feel like it's adequately prepared this team for March Madness?
I don't know. I think that you don't have any control over that. So we schedule outside of conference the best we can so that we are prepared for March Madness. There's a little bit of a lull in the middle sometimes. But the one thing about conference play is it doesn't matter what conference you're in. What you do get tested is teams know you. They try to take you out of what you're good at. It just other teams tried to pressure us and take away the 3-point shot. They weren't as good as Ole Miss was at doing it. So, we have other strengths. We worked a lot on they're going to switch us on ball screens, and we're going to go high-low. And, Vonnie was limited with her minutes today with a couple of those fouls in the first half, and I think that took us away from what we were trying to do there. So we're automatically in scramble mode again. So I think, conference prepares you for certain things. I don't know that it necessarily prepares us for the NCAA tournament, if that's a more concise way to answer your question.
Lisa, Matthew Walter with the Next. Have you played a team as physical as Ole Miss was tonight all season? And do you think your kids were as prepared when they stepped on the floor for the physicality as it actually was? Or is it just hard to replicate that in practice leading up to this game?
Yeah, I think we've played some pretty physical teams, but I think it is different. And I also think it's tough when you get to, I don't think there's like a line when it says it's going to be officiated this way, and then or postseason or whatever, or this league does it this way or that league does it a different way. But you're watching game film and it's different. The physicality and what you can do on the court, what you're allowed to do, is different. We get called all the time for wrapping our hands around people when we switch, and I mean that's normal. That's what they do every single time. And so that was not a foul today, and so we had to figure out how to play through that. So I think, we have played other physical teams. San Diego's physical, BYU's physical, Portland's physical. There's different people who do different things. Obviously, that's just in league. We played Tennessee and Louisville, and Marquette played physical against us. So there's those kind of things as well. But I do think it's different. The physicality is different. Or when you have a team full of it and a bench, a bench full of it, 5 players on the floor full of it, versus the first wave of starters who do that well, and then you sub and there's a letdown. There wasn't a real letdown in that part of the game today at all for them.
We'll go to Zoom for this next question. David, you can ask your question.
Hey, Coach. Appreciate the time. You mentioned there that other teams have tried to press you and take away that 3-point shot, but what Ole Miss was able to do was better than what those teams did. What made it that way, in your opinion? What did you see that, I guess, made that so?
Well, we shot 17 of them. So I think a couple of them were late clock, just trying to get something up. So it wasn't that they took us it away entirely. I think we were rushed. You know, I don't know which one of the players answered the question of if the nature of the game. You know, I don't know who you asked that question to, but I do think that we were pressing on defense, you know, like a little bit trying to get stops, and then on offense, it wasn't easy. So then when you did have an open look, you felt like you were rushing still. So I don't think that, you know, Brenna shot 5, Eliza shot 2, Lenny shot 3, Kaylee shot 3, KK shot 2. Those are. It wasn't like we had a bunch of our non-shooters shooting them. So I just think that the nature of the game, with the switching and then the pressure that they were applying everywhere else, then when you were open, you felt a little bit rushed. And they have great closing speed. I mean, they are a good defensive team, a really good defensive team. That's our lowest 3-point percentage of the season. So they're just pretty darn good at their defense.
Lisa, when you were talking about just the ups and downs that you went through this season, you started to sort of choke up. I mean, just this year you've had all these injuries.
You're trying to make me cry again?
No, I'm just
okay.
Trying to see if you can talk about how much, you know, this is a team with everybody coming back, but just how much this season has meant to you and just how much you guys can grow from this experience of the postseason.
Yeah. So, I mean, the people who don't know, we played Stanford down here with 7 players. We had, you know, 4 of our top 6 for a lot of the season, and then we were without some of the others for a lot of the season. Played Stanford with 7, played Queens with 7. We played multiple games with 8. We had COVID, mono, torn ligaments, other torn ligaments, long concussions, short concussions, whatever flu people had. We had it all, and kind of all at the same time for a while. And our team did great. We beat Tennessee in that scenario, where we didn't have our starting point guard. We beat all those other teams, everyone else who we played. We played on the road in Texas and won against Stephen F. Austin, who was good. We played them with 8. You know, we came down here and battled Stanford. We didn't win, but we battled these guys with 7. So they just kept showing up. They had a good attitude. They were fun to coach. Esther Little was a guard until there was 7, and then she all of a sudden became a post. Callie Stokes was a guard until there wasn't any. Destiny Burton hadn't played very much. Peyton Muma was our backup point guard. Kaylin's playing 37 minutes. KK's playing 37 minutes. It was just, people go through that stuff. We haven't. My second year as a head coach, we went through some of that, and we were wildly unsuccessful. Actually, by our terms, we finished 4th in the conference. We lost a bunch of games at the buzzer. It was heartbreaking. This team was the opposite of heartbreaking. We won a bunch of games that nobody thought we were going to win. We battled. They didn't balk at the fact that we were coming down here to play Stanford with 7 players, or anything else that we tried to do. So they were just really fun in that regard, because it was just show up and tell us what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, and then we'll do the best we can to do that. And, you know, even today it didn't work out as well, but I think we were outmatched physically. They're athletic, they're bigger. I know they're not overly big inside, -1 or 2, but across the board they're bigger. And they just kind of had the attitude of show up, tell us what we're going to do, and we're going to try our best to do it. All the while, like, everyone has some stuff, you know, so we went through a couple of things where it was, you know, a little bit rocky on the relationship piece here and there. You know, it was really unique for Lynn, who started the season starting with her sister, which, you know, Lynn was the backup point guard, those that don't know. And she was the player of the year. She was AP Honorable Mention All-American, and she just led us. Vonnie just flourished as a player this year, and they just stepped into stuff that they were all in roles that were new to them, except for Kaylee. Kaylee was the only player on our team who had the same role, and she sat out for almost the entire season. So I just think all of that, it just makes you really proud of the way I hope that every team that we coach is going to show up like that. And they're all back, right? So we'll see what that looks like, and we have to see how we can motivate them to different. You know, we're talking about a lot of things that we can try to build on from this year. And I think that it's on the court stuff, it's off the court stuff, it's leadership stuff, it's so many things. We have so many options, and I think if they have the same attitude they took this year, going into next season, which there'll be different challenges, then we're going to, again, be a hard out. We weren't really hard out today, unfortunately, though.
Any more questions for Coach Fortier? Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Have a good day.
We'll now have a short break and to be back with Ole Miss's press conference. As a reminder, please silence all cell phones. Welcome to tonight's press conference for the Ole Miss Rebels. Ole Miss's sports information director is Madeline Marshall. Today we are joined by head coach Yolette McPhee-McEwen and student athletes Angel Baker and Snudda Collins. Coach McPhee-McEwen, would you like to make an opening statement?
Tons of respect, for Gonzaga. Incredibly well-coached program, team. They've done a lot of great stuff all season, fought through adversity. I consider Lisa to be a friend, so I'm just glad we're on the winning side. We knew it would be a physical game. We knew that we were on their time zone. It was their comfort, but we felt like if we defend, good things could happen. And it's one of the sayings we say is we pack our defense in our suitcase, so no matter where we go. So really proud of our group.
We'll now take questions for the student athletes. As a reminder, please state your name and affiliation at the beginning of each question. If you're on the Zoom call and have a question, please use the raise hand function. I'll call on you if we have time.
Alex Simon from Bay Area News Group. Angel, when you were at Wright State, you pulled off an NCAA tournament win to transfer here and now help Ole Miss get an NCAA tournament win for the first time in years. Just what does it mean for you to be able to do this and help the program achieve this?
It means a lot. It's very exciting. I think Team 48 deserves this. I feel like we worked hard for this, and this means a lot for this group. We had a lot of goals, and this is one of them, so it feels great.
Jim Allen, Spokesman Review, Spokane. Well, Snudda, hats off to you. You made, I think, 3 or 4 three-point shots, and which is way more than the entire Gonzaga team had. So talk about being in the groove tonight.
Coming into this game, I think I was 0 for 22, and I knew that, and I kind of took it personal. You know, I knew I have to score for the team. So tonight, I guess I came in with a different mindset and ready to just let it go.
We'll go to Zoom for the next question. Michael, you can ask your question.
Hey, Snudda, Michael Kaplan, Daily Journal. You've seen this program build up, all the different parts. What does tonight mean to you to get that NCAA tournament win and take that next step for this program?
I mean, it means a lot to me. I've been here, you know, when we wasn't the absolute best, but we wasn't the worst either. But last year we came here, went in the first round, we lost, and of course we kind of, me and Maddie, we took that personal, and we was like, next year when we come back, we're not losing the first game. So that's been our goal from the beginning of the season, and now we've accomplished it.
Alex Simon from Bay Area News Group. For both of you, I don't know how much, if any, of the game before you saw, but have you guys even thought about the fact that you're about to play, you know, one of the top teams in the country and a recent national champion in Stanford?
Well, first, all of our mindsets have been on Gonzaga. Now we can focus on Stanford, now that we finished the job. But, yeah, I think our coaches will set us up for that.
We'll go back to Zoom for this next question. David, you can ask your question.
David Eckert, Clarion Ledger. I guess for both of y'all, you know, everybody was talking about Gonzaga and the way they shoot the three coming into this game. I know, obviously, you guys talked so much about how much pride you take in your defense. Was it kind of personal, I guess, for you guys to stop that, to run them off the line the way you did tonight?
Absolutely. We wanted to take away their 3-ball. We know they shoot the 3-ball very well, but like Coach said, we pack our defense and we take pride in defending the ball.
Cheryl Coward, Hoofy.com. You all are in rarefied company as the only team to beat Gonzaga by this much. Stanford was the only other team to beat them by over 20 points, and you're the only team that took South Carolina into overtime. And Stanford was the other team that took them into overtime. So given those two facts, does that give you confidence going into play Stanford on Sunday?
After the South Carolina game, that kind of showed us, what we could do. So I wouldn't say that this particular game gave us confidence. I mean, we already know what we can do if we defend and dictate and disrupt. So, we're just ready.
Hi, ladies. Janie McCauley from Associated Press. So you actually keep track of the misses you have, but I mean, is that something your team does? And then just or is somebody giving you a hard time in practice, or how's this going? You just said you'd missed 22 in a row. Do you remember your last one that you made?
I personally keep up with it. I go back and look because I know I didn't make any shots, in the SEC tournament. So I just wanted to see how many did I take in an attempt. So that's how I knew that.
Okay, but it was 3-pointers or field goals?
It was both.
It was rough.
Field goals.
It was rough.
Oh, so you really were in a little.
Yeah, I was in a little slump.
Okay. How did you kind of just hit the practice floor, this past week and say, okay, I'm gonna knock these down?
Just not overthinking and just shooting how I know I could shoot and just being ready.
Angel, did you know that Snudda had missed that?
I did not know that. Every time Snudda shoots, I think it's going in. So,
and to kind of, I know Snudda brought up Madison, but for her to make the impact that she had on both ends of the floor as well, can you speak to kind of what she has meant for you guys in these big games?
Maddie just brings something that nobody else can bring. Her energy, the way she defends the ball, her length is just, like I said, nobody else can bring it, and I'm very grateful to have her as a teammate, for sure.
Any more questions for the student athletes? Thank you, Angel and Snudda. You can rejoin your teammates in the locker room.
Thank you.
We'll now take questions for Coach McPhee McEwen. As a reminder, please state your name and affiliation at the beginning of each question. If you're on the Zoom call and have a question, please use the raise hand function. I will call on you if we have time.
All right, Michael Robertson, African-American athlete. So first of all, Coach, it's a coincidence that I was actually born in Lafayette County. Or I'm sorry, Lafayette County.
Okay.
And so it's always a cool deal whenever Ole Miss is involved.
Yeah.
But my question is, now that you guys advanced to this level, what is it going to be like to go up against Tara, a legendary coach, and like Will said earlier, a team that won a couple years ago? So what is the moment like for you right now?
It's incredible. I grew up being a student of the game, so obviously Tara is someone that I've admired, but I've had time to meet with her a couple times, but I think this is the first time she knows who I am. As far as playing a team that has had success, I think she would even say that that's in the past. We don't, that we've had a lot of success and we don't talk about it. We're going to focus on the present. I do think us playing in the Southeastern Conference has prepared us to play anybody in the country. Like it was just stated, we took the #1 team in the country to date in the overtime. So as far as we're concerned, this is just another incredible opportunity versus another incredible game. The same type of thought we had versus Gonzaga. Nothing more, nothing less.
Coach Alex Simon from Bay Area News Group. I'm sure you're going to have plenty of time to go over Stanford film, and we'll ask you about it tomorrow. But
Yeah.
since you mentioned yesterday that you watched their game against Gonzaga, did super quick, did anything stand out about Stanford, even though I know you were focused on Gonzaga?
I just think Stanford's just a great team. Listen, I watch a lot of basketball, so had Sacred Heart won, I would have been prepared. And Stanford has watched us. We got a lot of calls from Stanford when we almost beat South Carolina. I think they were rooting for us. So, we just have a lot of respect for them. They're just super talented. I know Cameron didn't play tonight, but we'll expect her to be there on Sunday. They're just a really solid team. They're experienced. And when you play experienced teams, if you're going to beat them, you need to try to beat them in regulation. So that's what we're going to try to do.
Coach Matthew Walter with the Next. On the court today, it just seemed like you were so in locked in on your team's defense. It sounds like you lost your voice. It just how much I think you were screaming to them. How impressed with you with your team's defensive effort tonight, especially against this Gonzaga team, came in shooting 42% from three. They only made 1 3 all night, and just what you guys did on that side of the ball to completely take them out of their offense.
Well, I always get a workout when I coach. I don't sit, and I defensive slide up and down the floor. It is why I don't dress up, so that I can get a workout. I've been tracking my my calories, and I've burnt a good bit on here. As far as our defensive performance, elite. We held them. We wanted to hold them 12 or less per quarter, and we did that because they only had 48 points. So was really impressed. I was just in awe watching our team defend, and that is who we are, you know. We wear shirts in practice that say we defend. And usually when we defend at a high level, we can score a lot. So I know people don't look at us as an offensive team, but that doesn't mean we can't score. We just defend so that we can score, and we did that, and it was fun to watch.
How important, I mean, when I look at the box score, the number that immediately jumps to me is 24 offensive rebounds. How important to set up what you guys can do defensively is it if you can keep extending possessions the way that you guys did tonight?
It's who we are. You know, I'm telling y'all, it's playing in the Southeastern Conference. You know, every night we're playing against elite level talent. We're playing against elite athletes, and we have to fight. And I think we've had, I don't know, Madeline will be able to tell me, but we've had multiple 50 rebound performances in conference. So we did not think that would be impossible for us to do tonight or any time in the NCAA tournament, unless we face South Carolina again. They're monstrous. But other than that, I mean, that is what we do. So I was more impressed by us holding them to 29% from the field. This is a really good offensive team, but like I told you all in the presser, you know, I think that was yesterday or the day before, we've done that all year. So it is what we expect. You get what I'm saying? We're not cocky. It is who we are.
When you say, though, with the exception of South Carolina, I guess what makes them an exception is maybe, you know, especially Stanford's inside size, maybe a similar level exception to come?
Yeah, I mean, you know, South Carolina, I mean, I've seen South Carolina, their front court is 6'6", 6'5", 6'4", 6'3". Stanford's big, but I don't remember their two guard being 6'3", you know. So, listen, I think that they're going to be really good on the glass as well. But even versus South Carolina, we competed. They didn't just annihilate us on the glass. It is that, I guess that's the point I'm making. That's just who we are. So no matter what, we feel like we can rebound with the best of them. And we've shown that because at the end of the day, South Carolina is the number one team in the country until someone beats them. And we've been able to rebound with them. So if anything, it gives us confidence.
All right, Coach, you mentioned that how much Tara meant to you, how, you know, you looked up to her. But your contemporary right there in that conference, Dawn Staley, what has she meant to you, especially what she's accomplished being the first black coach to win multiple national championships? So what does she mean to you in that conference and as a whole as a black woman?
Listen, I'm the young Thundercat in the group, all right? I look up to a lot of coaches. Dawn Staley is a mentor of mine, except for when we played, and she's a foe. But other than that, she has always extended knowledge to me and has been someone I can call on. And she's in conference. Tara, not so much. I've just admired her from afar. she's a GOAT, in my opinion. You know, just what she's done, what she's accomplished. She hung around. She's old school. So she kind of waited till we got out. She was hanging around. And I said, Coach, let me touch your hand because I need you to rub off some of your championship residue on me. And I said, and you play Gonzaga, so give me the scoop. And she looked at me and she said, yo, Gonzaga's good, but so are you. So I took that as a compliment. And anytime I get a chance to coach against who I consider to be, some of the pioneers of the game, I feel like I owe it to them to give my best effort. And so that's what I'll do on Sunday.
We'll go to Zoom for this next question. John, you can ask your question.
Hey, John Sokoloff with WCBI in Columbus. I mean, what does kind of a win like tonight kind of do for y'all momentum-wise, and not just taking care of business, but winning in such a kind of dominant fashion in the way you did on both sides of the floor?
John, we felt like we've been the underdogs. I know we were the 8th seed, but they flew us out to the West Coast and had us play a team that had to take an hour flight. So we didn't feel like the 8th seed. So as far as we're concerned, we feel like we have something to prove. I feel like the whole SEC feels that way. And I think all of us got to win today. And so we're all rooting for each other. And I'm just proud to be a part of this conference. I'm proud to represent the University of Mississippi. And I don't believe in skipping steps. And last year we lost. And Keith could tell you, like, after we lost, I said, maybe this is how it should be, We made it to the tournament. It was the first time since, 2007, 2008. But now I felt like we needed to take another step. And if we win on Sunday, then we're going to keep going. And if we don't, then we're going to celebrate the season. But at the end of the day, we still made a forward step. And I just believe in growing it organically that way. So
we'll go back to Zoom for this next one. Michael, you can ask your question.
Hey, Snuda brought it up, but she had a rough stretch. She had to make a shot in 3 games. To see her come out the way she did, especially in that second quarter, as somebody who's been with you for a while now, how nice was it to see her have her moment?
Well, I just knew Snuda was going to give me a compliment because I've been in her ear all week. So really proud of her. I told Snuda she needed to get back to the non-conference Snuda. The non-conference Snuda was scoring in multiple ways, not just three-point shooting. She was driving to the basket, rebounding, and ones. And so tonight you was able to see that. And when she missed the first 2 threes, I just told her, Snuda, stop praying that it goes in. Just shoot it. Usually when she just doesn't try to make it and she just trusts her form, she's able to do it. And so the whole team was really proud of Snuda, and we're going to need that from her. Like you said, she's been with me from the jump. She tried to give a sob story, but she wasn't in the dark days when Snuda came. We were in the postseason. She don't know about the dark days, but she was one of her and Madison Scott decided to come to Ole Miss when we went 0-16. You talk about belief. Those two believe more than anybody. So really happy for her.
We'll do one final question also from Zoom. David, you can ask your question.
Hey, I guess you're talking so much about defense, and obviously that's kind of what you've built your program on. So I guess just for you, what's it like for the first win that you get here in the NCAA tournament, for it to just kind of epitomize what you've built in the way that it did?
Poetic. That's all I can say. It was poetic. I mean, we clinched 4th place in the SEC outright by getting a defensive stop. And Snutter got a block, and that's how we claimed fourth. And so today, to be able to do it in the fashion and to hear our team, like, they really didn't want Gonzaga to get 50 points. And then to see Jordan Berry, who came in as a walk-on, guard, 94 feet. It was poetic, and it's something that makes me proud, because here's the thing, David. We don't want to have an identity crisis right now. We want to be who we are, and that's defense, and our defense is the engine to our offense, and that is what we intend to do on Sunday. We intend to guard, and if we can do that, we feel like we'll have success. So for me, it was poetic.
Thank you, Coach, and good luck on Sunday.
Thank y'all.
Thanks to everyone for attending tonight's games. We look forward to seeing you for the second round this weekend. Thank you, everybody.